just like so many people in your great state of Texas, this hits home. Two Austin girls are among the victims, one who attended the same elementary school as your daughters. You attended a vigil on Sunday. How is your community doing?
Well, Dana, the pain is really far-reaching, and it affects most deeply, of course, the families of these two beautiful little girls, but it spreads through their classmates and through the community as a whole. I just view this loss of life in such a mass way as being totally inexcusable. And I believe that there were failures at every level of government, and no one wants to be held accountable for it. It is a time to recognize the heroism, of course, of the first responders who got there, as your report indicated, after the damage had already been done, and to welcome all the volunteer support and the pulling together now of all levels of government. That's important. But if we're to avoid another tragedy like this, we have to have accountability. And I think we have to have accountability at the county, state, and federal level. My focus has been federal, but I'm greatly concerned about the failures at the county and the state level.
Well, let's talk about that. You know, what we are hearing from local officials, state officials, is they insist that they're not trying to deflect, they're trying to defer the answers to those questions. It sounds like that's not satisfactory to you.
Well, I think we have to begin right now looking, for example, at the alerts that happen locally. I've represented in the past a neighboring community of San Marcos, which has also had some terrible floods. They have 14 sirens up. Even the volunteer fire department near Kerr County has a siren up in a different county. Why a county would invite people from all over the state and the country to come there to camp along the river and not have an alert system in place to protect those people is difficult for me to understand. And the admission was pretty clear from the county officials about the decision to not do that. On the other hand, the state of Texas had the opportunity to pass legislation on this previously. It basically usually prefers to distribute federal dollars and never to appropriate state dollars. I hope now belatedly a special session will address this. But for the governor to treat this as if it were a football game, this is not a game. People's lives are at stake, and there's so much more that should have been done.
Congressman, that's precisely what I was going to ask you about, because it was striking to hear the governor kind of try to connect with people in Texas using the football analogy, because obviously everybody in the world knows how much Texans love football. Listen to a little bit of what he was saying.
Every football team makes mistakes. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. The way winners talk is not to point fingers. They talk about solutions.
He said, we got this. We're going to make sure that we go score again, and we're going to win this game.
Well, as I said, this is not a game. People's lives are at stake, and the losers are the ones that don't learn from the mistakes, that don't hold people accountable. In this case, I think there are accountable issues at every level of government. And as I mentioned, I think the impact of the Trump administration has to be considered. I haven't accused them of anything. I've asked for a thorough investigation, and the outrageous responses of the White House press secretary and the Homeland Security Department attacking the press for raising the questions makes me all the more confident that we need to have a thorough investigation and ask what effect did it have to not have the meteorologist in charge of coordination and warnings. That person was not in place that night. Why did they not have all of their hydrologists who are responsible for rainfall and runoff calculations? What contacts did they really have there with the local level when the first flood warning came at 1:14 in the morning, when all of Kerr County was asleep, and the eventual flood emergency announcement was after much of Camp Mystic was already floating down the river? That may have been the best that could be done. They had dedicated employees out there that night, I'm sure, but I want the facts, and the fact that they would not give me that information when I asked about it 6 weeks before this happened gives me cause for concern, and they need to provide an immediate answer to all of these questions. Of course, Dana, this is all against the background of the fact that President Trump has led the effort to deny climate crisis. And we know that every time that the Fahrenheit weather gauge goes up by 1 degree, the ability of the atmosphere to become more absorbent of water goes up about 4%. The climate crisis is real. We feel it in Texas, and we need to plan for it in the future instead of denying it, which is what happens at the state and the federal level under these administrations.